Well, hello there! Welcome once more to Cranberries Kitchen. And if this is your first time stopping by, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. So, dear friends, today's recipe is a very simple, quick, and delicious one. We'll be making some vegetable couscous and we'll be serving that with some fish in tomato gravy. Very delicious. So, for this recipe, we need some dry couscous. And so, into the pantry we go. Alright, I think this is the one we'll be using, but you could also use any of these small packs of couscous. If you find them in your store, they'll be perfect. I'll be adding some raisins or dried cranberries as well as some raisins in there, so I've grabbed them as well. And so back to the kitchen we go. So the fish I'll be using today is grouper. This is going to be my first time ever using this. Nanaba used it to cook for me and I really enjoyed it. So I asked her to get me some one day while she was in the Asian supermarket picking up a few items for me as well. So Onyawa, thank you. This is what I'm doing with my fish. I hope you approve. So as you can see, this grouper is super expensive. Those 4 pieces, which is just a little above 2 pounds, was like $25, like super expensive. This is what I call bougie fish. So I've washed it now, and on it right now I just added just a little bit of garlic and ginger paste. I blended this. I've been using it in honey for my daughter. She has been having a little cough and this has been very helpful. So I should say this is a home remedy as well. Just garlic, ginger in honey and maybe a little warm water. It's very good for coughs. So I've also added in here a little bit of salt and my Tones cilantro lime seasoning. I've been using that quite often here, so I know you know it by now. I get this from Sam's Club. You may get it from Walmart as well, and probably you could get it online. It's very, very good. I really like it. So if you can find it, just grab one and try it out. So I'm just trying to coat my fish to make sure every part of it is covered with my seasoning, and then I set it aside. So I'm just going to let it marinate for about for as long as it takes me to cut up my vegetables, and then I'll start frying my fish. So I'm just going to be using half of an onion, and of course these beautiful tomatoes and herbs and peppers. Of course, you know where they come from my garden. Yes, I'm going to be eating my own vegetables until, of course, I have nothing, which won't be too long because the sun is pretty crazy here now, and my tomato plants already started wilting. I don't know for how long it will last, but yeah, I'm just making the most of it for now. So anyway, I've cut up my onions and my garlic. That was 4 cloves of garlic, and I just cut them up into big slices. You can dice them or do whatever you want with them, grate them. It's all up to you. And for my peppers, I'm not going to blend them today either. I'm just slicing them. This meal actually is just supposed to be for my husband and I know for sure my kids won't eat it, so I don't mind cutting up my peppers, and I don't mind adding all that amount of peppers because I want it to be spicy. We are going to put some fish in there, and for most of my fish meals, if I can help it, I want it to be spicy. So I'm going to cut up all these peppers and then we'll proceed. These I just picked straight from my garden and I froze them. You know, when they say frozen at the peak of freshness, I think that's what I did, because as soon as I came inside, I washed them and then froze them in Ziploc bags. And so they're handy. Whenever I need them, I just grab them instead of just letting them sit in the fridge and losing some of the nutrients, wilting or whatever. Straight from the garden, I froze them. So anyway, I'm going to cut up my tomatoes now. I have already washed them, and so it is quite easy because they're so tiny, and I just cut them into, like, I quarter them and then probably just go halfway through and then I cut them again, and that's pretty much it. So I decided to pause on cutting up my tomatoes to fry my fish. just so I can maximize time. And today too, I am adding in here some rosemary sprigs into my oil just to infuse some of the great aromas of the rosemary and flavors in here. And of course, I have them so much in abundance. I don't really know what to do. Somebody suggested I should dry them and package them for my friends, and I think that's a good idea. And if you have any other suggestions, kindly let me know what I can do with my rosemary. So whilst the fish is frying, and since I've cut up my onions, peppers, and garlic, I'm going to go ahead and start getting stuff ready for the stew or my gravy. I'm calling this gravy. This is what Ghanaians call gravy. You know, any quick whipped up tomato sauce. Mostly it's going to be like what I'm having, chopped vegetables, so chunky. Normally we call this gravy in Ghana. So I have my oil hot now. I have added in my onions and garlic together, and I'm just going to let it cook until it softens up just a little bit, and then I'll add in my peppers. So back to cutting up my tomatoes I come, and like I say, sometimes it might be hard for you to follow my order of cooking. Do whatever you like. If it's best for you to prep everything before you start, all the better for you. But sometimes for me, I'm just trying to rush through things, and this is my way of getting things done on time. I am so in love with these orange tomatoes. I have planted heirloom tomatoes, Rutgers heirlooms, when I lived on the East Coast, and they come in different colors. You could have yellow, you could have orange, and then of course red. But this plant just gives you orange tomatoes. Just beautiful. I just love them. So anyway, my onions and garlic, as you can see, since the garlic is thinner and smaller, it has already caramelized, and the onions is just soften up sweaty, and that is exactly how I want it. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and add in my sliced peppers. There we go, just beautiful colors popping, you know. And now I'm just going to go ahead, give it a stir, let it cook up for about 2 minutes, and then I'll add in my tomatoes. So this is going to be a very simple gravy, no tomato paste. We're gonna be very simple on the ingredients. I just want to be able to taste, you know, these fresh natural ingredients instead of just overpowering them with other ingredients. And it's just something simple to go with couscous. You know, I don't intend to make a big pot of stew for this, something small just for the fish. And so this is all we are going to be using. I'll just put a little bit of seasoning into it, and that'll be it. So I've added the tomatoes now, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover it just so it gets the chance to cook up, you know, and then it will help for the tomatoes to burst and cook faster. And whilst that is cooking, I just check on my fish. And guys, I have to be honest with you and say, well, I told you in the beginning, this is my first time cooking grouper. When Nanaba made it, because I saw her cook it in a video, that was what she made in the collaboration video, and she actually coated this with some flour. She put it in a bag of flour just to coat it, like how I did previously in my fried fish video. So if ever you are to fry grouper, I suggest you do it that way, because this fish is so delicate. It was very tricky trying to fry it to be perfect. So I really regret not coating it with some flour, and if ever I'm to buy it again, considering how expensive it is, I'm definitely going to coat it to make sure, you know, it stays intact. It did stay intact, but it was very tricky, and it took a long time to fry. So it took me probably like, I should say, about 7 to 8 minutes on each side, you know, in total, because I kept turning it. I turned it like for the first 5 minutes just to make sure it was brown on the bottom side, and then I fried it on the other side and then flipped it over a few times to make sure it's all golden, and you will be able to judge it for yourself anyway. So our tomatoes has cooked in here, covered for about 8 minutes, and at this time it has, you know, really sweated. It is very soft on the bottom, as you can see. Whilst I stir it, the bottom parts have already just burst, you know. It is soft, it is just disintegrating beautifully, and that is how you want it to be. That is how I want it anyway. I don't want to blend it, I don't want to pulse it. I just want to have this sauce in chunks. And like you see right here, right after I stirred it, you can see that it has really changed in texture. It is almost cooked down already, and it won't take too long for me to finish this gravy. And that is why I say this is a real 30-minute meal. Very simple. And at this point, I'm just bringing my fish out of the oil now. I have already turned off the oil as I'm doing this because I don't want to burn it. And look, that one is already falling apart. Very delicate. Considering the price, I'm like, this fish should, hold its form. It was too expensive to be doing this to me. Like, seriously, seriously. But it was okay. I was able to get everything, almost all the way intact. And look at that oil, so perfect. That would be so good. If I had started early enough, I would have rather used some of that oil to make my gravy. So once the oil was off the fire, I set my water to boil, the couscous on fire, and that is 2.5 cups of water. I'm just going to boil, but before it boils over, I have added a cup of mixed vegetables. So you want to put them in here now whilst the water is already hot, and then cover, bring it to a boil. And by the time you introduce the couscous, the vegetables are cooked enough, not overcooked, perfect. And that is it. So I've added some salt in here now, about a half a teaspoon, covered. And I'm going to focus a little bit on my gravy now. It is almost done, as you can see. And I am just adding a little bit of seasoning here. This is going to be the Better Than Bouillon, of course, popularly recommended by Nanaba. I was actually in Walmart one day, and then I just saw it, and I'm like, oh, you are the most famous Better Than Bouillon. So I got this chicken one as well as some vegetable one. I haven't used the vegetable one yet, but the chicken I have used before, and it is seriously, just like Onyawa says, it is delicious, perfect. You really need to try it if ever you find it. So I've added that in here, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut up my herbs. I'm just cutting up, this is parsley and rosemary, and these I'm just going to go ahead and introduce into the gravy, and it will be all done. So our water is boiling at this point, and so I'm going to go ahead and add some butter and then the couscous. So in here I will be adding about just a tablespoon of butter. You can use cooking oil, preferably olive oil. If you have that, it's all up to you. And here I have the raisins and craisins, just a quarter cup of each. And then I've added in here my couscous also. So I'm just going to quickly stir this. And at this time, of course, I've turned off the flame. I'm turning it off now. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cover. You leave it covered for about 10 minutes according to the manufacturer's instructions. That is what you have to do. So it's covered now, and I am just going to add my herbs to my stew or gravy. At this point, it is cooked to how I want it to be. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And like you can see, our meal is almost ready. Very quick, easy recipe. So I'm throwing in here the herbs now. Give it a stir. And just look at how beautiful, beautiful it all suddenly became. You see the greens, you see the reds. Of course, you can't really see the orange anymore. But the sauce color is just beautiful. It's not like the regular red tomato sauce. It is just really orange. Just gorgeous. Smells amazing. It tastes so good, so good. So I initially didn't plan to add my fish into the gravy. I was going to serve it on the side, but I just decided to just put them in here. And so in here they go. That is just the rosemary sticking on one. And don't ask me about the third piece, okay? It is already gone. We just ate it, my husband and I. Yeah, we're terrible. Unfortunately, this was just only 4 pieces, so this is the one time you really see what happens on the side. Yeah, I know you all do it, right? If it's that good, you really can't help. You can't wait until everything is cooked before you start devouring it, and that is what happened. So one is gone, but we have 3 more here, and of course, like I said, this is just for the 2 of us anyway, so no problem. And right now our stew is cooked, so I let it just simmer for about 2 more minutes and then turn off the flame. This fish is so delicate. I am just trying to nudge at the corners of the pot without trying to stir it too much because I don't want it to fall apart. So just agitate it, no stirring, don't break up your fish. Cover it, and we will just wait until the couscous is done, and then we can have our meal. So the couscous is done now, flame turned off. It has just swelled up because, it's just a dry grain. And once you put it in the hot water and cover it, it just soaks up the water and swells so beautifully. This is just perfect, perfect. So I'm just stirring now to fluff it up. And at this point, it is done, ready to be served. Simple, easy, so quick, so delicious. It smells amazing. It tastes divine. And of course, with me including my vegetables, you have your whole balanced meal looking beautiful and gorgeous. Something totally different to switch it up a little bit. So you can make this on a regular day, on a date night, or whatever. You can even have this at a party as a side dish. So simple and yet so delicious. Just look at that. Just beautiful, just perfect. So thank you so much for cooking with me. I really enjoyed having you come on board with me. I really hope you had fun too. And if this is your first time watching me, this is Couscous Kitchen, where cooking simple, replicable meals is my passion. I really hope this makes you want to subscribe to my channel. So we wash this gorgeous meal down with some mint and ginger juice, which I already have the recipe here, and I hope you try it. That is just perfect with this, and of course it is immune boosting, and in this time when we are all trying to stay safe and healthy, you will need that. Thank you once again for watching, and until I come your way next time with something delicious, be loving, be kind, be happy.